live tile, or you can come over here, you can hit the F3 key, or you can charm in and you're looking at your apps. And I can actually scroll and get into an alphabetical list. I can pinch, bring it up, and I can see all my applications. Or I can actually start typing and bring it up from a type search. So that's a very popular, question. Well, where's my information at? And we can just search and find the information. And then I can go over here and pick my devices. So I've got going out to my second screen. And then if I come over here, I can go to my settings. And then now here's where I can actually change some of my PC settings. But one of the things I like to show is this is where the power is. You can also hit Control-Alt-Delete. There's also a couple of other ways that you can shut down. If I just come over here to my power, I can actually decide what I want to do. So as I look over here, I can come in and change my PC settings. And notice that I have a lock screen that's with my Newfoundland puppy that is now not that small. The puppy is about 6 months old, and she's getting almost as big as my 12-year-old daughter that's in the picture there. Then I also have a couple other pictures. I can work with my users, user accounts. So again, very easy to decide what I'm going to work with. So here I'm getting my notifications, so I can actually have on my desktop my email notifications, texting, IM, Facebook posts, all this speeds and feeds that we have to deal with, but we can actually have that integrated into our experience if we choose to do so. Now, some of the other things that we look at is the sharing. Do I want to share some of the applications? As well as what you were talking about, sir, is the syncing of your settings. So not only can I work with documents, I've done some customization and I can work with this computer. And as I go over here, I'm just going to lock the computer. So I've gone to my lock screen. Well, I like this picture at my lock screen. And if I scroll up, I have a picture of a golf course that I was fortunate enough to play. And so I come over here and I'm just going to swipe tree to tree. And then I'm going to go from the sand trap to the pin. And then I'm going to go from the green to the pin. And that's sand trap to the pin. And then, of course, I want a putt, right? So just dragging a putt. So this is kind of fun, but it's a great way to actually log into the computer, and that is a secure method. And one of the things that we talk about is Microsoft has very stringent security standards. And when those thumbprint readers came out for the fingerprint, some use your finger, some use your thumb, that was not an approved policy by Microsoft. However, this picture password is an approved policy for Microsoft as a secure. Multiple users installed in this environment. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to Karen.
And this is off the thumb drive?
This is all off the thumb drive. It's called Windows to Go.
And all those users are employees in your company?
All those users are employees in my fictitious company, yes. So I come over here and actually see some of those users. And not only do I see the users, I have a rich experience because I have their information and their pictures. Right? I can also come over here and look at some of my other capabilities as it's syncing with the screen. Then again, I can just hit my Windows key and I'm back. Notice here I can just go quickly to my desktop. And again, think about the desktop that you have with Windows 7 currently. Wow, looks a lot like that. Got my Microsoft link. Got some of my icons down there. I can launch Word. This is actually Word 2010. And again, I could hit my Windows key, scroll over, and here I actually have Office 2013 Preview loaded as well. And then again, we can see some of the different apps that I have loaded. I could go in. But the idea, and go back over here. We go into the computer. We can see that I do have 10 gig free because I've created all those different profiles. But notice I don't see the other hard drive. And so I'm running everything, and I can connect to the cloud. I can save here. Now, if we go even one step further, and we do some of that syncing of settings, right? If I connect this to the same SkyDrive account that I'm using with my traditional machine, and I change those settings, background, color, any of the different features, if I have those syncing to the cloud, when I bring this up and it connects to the cloud, all those settings are going to arrive on the desktop. And again, that helps with that seamless experience going back and forth. You talk about working with documents. If we're syncing into SkyDrive and using Office, not only can you get to the document, but when you go to it, it actually pops up and says, hey, you were on page 4. Do you want to continue from there? Or do you want to, you can just click cancel, or you can say yes. It takes you exactly to where you were when you were working before you left your other device. So just some of the things that, as we look at Windows 8, tying into SkyDrive, and then tying into our productivity tools. So with that, that's kind of all that I had. Now, so people ask what happens when you unplug it. I unplugged it, didn't blue screen, right? So you have 60 seconds to plug it back in. Watch what happens when you plug it back in. It's kind of fun. It says, hey, don't do that, right? Only remove it after we shut down, okay? After 60 seconds, it's going to shut down automatically because it's thinking that we've got a security issue. Now, one of the other things that comes up is we talked about, the idea that we can, use BitLocker, and yes, you can BitLocker these devices. So if you were to use it, and lose it, then you would be okay. So again, I'm just going to hit my Windows C, get my charms up, go over here, come on, into my settings, and I'm just going to shut down. So with that, that's kind of all that I had put together for our conversation today. But John and I are here, to also answer your questions. I do have to go catch a flight in just a few moments, so I can go and do this in other cities. But I did want to open it up to any general Q&A besides what we've already answered.
So how do you get the Windows to Go? Does that come with the normal Windows subscription? Is that an add-on? Is that...
Great question. So the Windows to Go is part of the enterprise of Windows 8. And so there's a couple ways that you can acquire the Enterprise Edition. You could do exactly what you said with the subscription and do a Windows Intune. You could also buy Windows 8 and have Tim have that conversation about software assurance. And it is part of the software assurance. So the end result is you need to get to the Enterprise Edition software assurance. And there's a couple different ways that you can purchase that. And that's where working with Tim, HuggTech, and Tim working with John, we can, take care of getting you to the right licensing model. But it is an enterprise function. So.
Is Windows 7 was pretty forgiving as far as hardware. I mean, I've even gotten 7 to run on Pentium 4s as long as they were, higher than a 3 gigahertz.
Right.
How is Windows 8? Is it probably not going to run on a Pentium 4, but will it run on?
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier. That we say anything that was Windows 7 is going to run on great,
okay.
Right? But I have also looked at Windows Vista's machines, and it runs pretty darn good on those as well, and it runs better than Vista. I know that might not be saying much, but it does run better than Vista.
Woo. Yeah.
Just remember, okay. So when we talk about it, right? Millennium Edition was broke, right? It was broke when it shipped. Vista was not broke. It broke things. Big difference. Big difference. Not broke things. Simple things like the ability to print.
Yeah.
Sorry, broke. We also look at some XPs. You're right, it's not going to be on a Pentium 4. But some of the XP machines, you can get away with it. I've talked to some partners such as yourself that have loaded it on the XP and Vista, and the biggest thing that they talk to me about is the improved performance. That they can't believe how much faster it is than the legacy. Remember, XP, that's over 10 years old. It's at end of life, right? When we talk about Google compete, right? Google is competing against Office 2003 and Windows XP. That's 2003, folks. A lot of things have happened since then, right? But they have a great compete conversation against XP in 2003. I can't fault them because they're like, okay, can we compete with 2000? No. Can we compete with 2007? No. Can we compete with 2003? Oh yeah, we can. Cool. So that's what they're competing against us with, right? Now, the sad part about that is over 60% of some of our install base
still is
still
XP.
on XP,
Yep.
still on Office 2003.
Yep. Now,
So this is the time to make those changes.
right, and what he says is when he says end of life means all the hackers know that, which means all the hackers start writing viruses for XP. So if you've still got that XP at home or somewhere weird, you're going to be a prime target, especially in the next year or two. That computer's probably running awful anyway. I know I get 5 or 6 XP computers in every week, and almost every one of them run 1,000 times better with Windows 7. So, yeah, something to think about.
One of the questions I got is, if you got Carbonite, the majority of us, I'm sure we do, granted it's backing up our operating system. Say that we end up having a crash, the computer gets wet or gets flooded or something gets stolen, getting around, we get all that information back. But we now have a new operating system, Windows 8. Is that going to be compatible? Or is that going to conflict with it?
So all the third-party vendors have had the code for a little bit, and they're staggering, when their new releases are going to be available. As we hit Friday, we expect to see some announcements, from antivirus, from backup solution providers that are supporting the Windows 8 now. That's something that you want to check to make sure. When I think of Carbonite, that's going to be a lot easier to implement to the Windows 8 device than some of the antivirus subscriptions. But definitely looking at what solutions you have and making sure that they have released or updated. And Microsoft has to do the same thing. We've got some solutions that we've had to update for the new products as well now that they're done. So it's very common in industry. The big thing is to check with Tim to see if that particular vendor that you're using supports Windows 8 now. As an alternative, realize that there's some really cool things that are built into Windows 8 that you can take advantage of, both into some offerings from a cloud perspective or into some local storage. That if something like that happens, there's a couple different ways that you can restore. You can restore keeping all your settings. You can also do a clean and reinstall. So kind of like that. Tim, I'm sure is very familiar with. You have that machine, it's been compromised or something's happened, and we just need to wipe it and get it back to factory fresh. That's actually built into Windows 8 as a very simple process that's going to make Tim's life a lot easier.
Yes.
So, and that's using some of the system restore capabilities that we had in Windows 7 and building upon that technology.
Did that answer your question, Scott?
For the most part.
Yeah. I think Carbonite will probably
related,
do some releases
right?
in the next month that'll get it good. So, yeah, we'll be set.
And I'm going to continue to pack up as we answer questions. I thought we had one in the back first, and we'll come back over here. You guys good?
Yeah.
All right, we'll go over here.
Okay, 2 things. One, I assume the drivers off of Windows 7s are going to work on Windows 8.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, it would be highly unlikely because the foundation of Windows 8 is Windows 7. Building on that foundation that we had with Windows 7. And the reality is, even though a lot of people don't believe it, Windows 7 was built on Vista. It's the whole security model changes and everything we made. So, we continue to improve on that major shift in the market when we introduced Vista and changed the security model, which is what broke everything. But we can see that, things have changed with 7. A lot easier to work with, drivers, all that has come in. So Windows 8 space, it's not that drastic of a change.